Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, and its D20 using system counterparts have a special set of rules on magic. Every morning, or rather after every long rest, these spellcasters regain their capabilities to cast and memorize spells. And in this video I'll show you how to personalize such a magic system for your own world. Let's first establish what this magic system is. The magic system is called the Vancian Magic system, created by Jack Vance for his Dying Earth novels. He greatly inspired Gary Gygax when developing Dungeons & Dragons, considering he used the same magic system. For a magic system to be Vancian, there has to be 3 established rules. Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition breaks one of these rules, but it still counts as a Vancian system for me. Rule number 1. Spells are set and hard-coded. They generally cannot be modified and only do a certain thing, and one thing only. Or well, this one thing can mean that you can do multiple things depending on how long the spell description is, but you get my gist. For example, let's take the most well-known wizard's spell, the Fireball. 86 fire damage in DnD 5th edition, 66 fire damage in Pathfinder 2nd edition, 500 feet range in Pathfinder, 150 feet in DnD 5th edition. The blast radius for the explosion being 20 feet each. A lot of burning, a lot of hurt, but you can't modify the spell to be smaller. You can't make it into a flicker to turn on a candle or your cigarette without damaging it and its whole surroundings. Rule number 2. Each of these spells, like Fireball, have to be remembered every morning or after a long rest, before they can be used again. Here's where D&D 5th edition went beyond the rule. Normally, you remember a spell, like the Fireball, which is a 3rd level spell. If you have 2 3-level spell slots, you can remember it twice before you forget the spell again. In D&D 5th edition, you are a bit more flexible. You have your spell slots and you can choose from a number of spells you remember each day, instead of the specific slot being bound to a specific spell. It's a lot like guns, really. In Pathfinder, you more or less enchant the bullets with the spell, and in D&D you have a lot of different bullets, but the gun can only shoot so much per day. This system very well reflects the origins of D&D, as it's perfect for a war game. But this already brings us to rule 3, as rule number 3 states that you have a finite amount of spells to expend per day, which again is the same in both Vancian type systems. The only difference is the greater variety you'd have in D&D per day as a wizard. In Dungeons & Dragons lore, or rather in Forgotten Realms lore, which is the base lore of Dungeons & Dragons more or less, the Vancian Magic system is explained by the limitations of the weave. The weave is the tool with which magic is used, a fabric-like web spread around the cosmos, controlled by the goddess of magic Mystra. When you cast a spell as a wizard, for example, you can imagine a metaphorical pull at the weave. With the weave, Mystra was able to set these rules. Restrict the spellcaster's limitation, restrict how much any spellcaster is allowed to cast per day, and how strong these spells are allowed to be. And the strength of each spell is more or less ordered in a range from cantrips over 1st level spells to 9th level spells. In Forgotten Realms lore, any spell higher than 9th level has been banned by the goddess of magic because it almost got her killed. My point is that the Forgotten Realms weren't written by Gygax. It was Ed Greenwood who only played Dungeons & Dragons. Which means you have all possibilities to write something on your own as well. So the system you play your games in feels more natural in your setting. I myself have to admit that I'm a bit too stubborn to incorporate the system fully into my world, which automatically causes a conflict between my own magic system and the Pathfinder 2nd edition magic rules. But you can certainly do better than me. You'd also do better than me if you subscribe and tell me in the comments about the magic systems in your world, no matter if they are Vancian or original. As a Vancian magic system is a hard magic system and relatively simple. Defining its rules for your world shouldn't be that hard. I'll give you a set of questions you can ask yourself when incorporating the magic system into your world. First of all, think about how, why, or by whom the magic system is limited in such a way. I've already talked about the limitations set by Mithra in the Forgotten Realms. In the magic system's original Dying Earth book series, the spells are more scientific and you load these spells more or less into your brain. Though there are only a handful of spells civilization continues to remember after a long decline. In your world, these rules of magic can be set by anyone, no matter if natural, if it's an AI in your world's core, set by the stars and star formations, or by a god or goddess. Then think about how these spells that are already incorporated in the magic system, like Fireball, or even more helpful spells like resurrection spells, are used and handled within your societies. Think about the impact they have and how rare they actually are. As a GM, that's also an easy way to handle spells you don't necessarily like. This question also implies how strong the average spellcaster might get in your setting, as high-level spellcasters in both Dungeons & Dragons and Pathfinder are reaching near divine power levels eventually. If there are many level 20 wizards around, the drought population suffers because of the thousands of meteor spells cast every day. And well, think about how something like resurrection might affect your society and their connection to death, as societal implications change on the impact of the average spellcaster's power. Think about the classes presented in each of those systems and how you'd like to incorporate each one of these into your setting. Normally, a wizard is the academic book type caster. A sorcerer has the innate ability to cast magic. A druid gains his magic from nature and spirits. Clerics from the gods, and so on and so on. So think about how these different kinds of casting are integrated into your society and the magic culture surrounding your society. You can even change the flavors up a little. You could throw the bookish nerd of a wizard away and instead make them into something akin to a shaman. They could commune with the spirits every morning to write their spells on a set of bones, which act as their spell slots. Or a sorcerer could write tattoos on their body, which are the spells they know and can't change that easily. To cast the spell, the sorcerers only push magic into the respective runic tattoo instead of casting it like normally. Magic systems are a topic I'll make more detailed videos in the future, talking about soft and hard magic systems and how you can make your own for each one of those types. And this is the end of the video, and I hope you liked it. Tell me about your magic systems, or how you incorporated magic and the different pen and paper classes into your setting, and maybe even leave a like and subscribe. See ya!